As we listen to the fife and drum, let's go to Dana. She's got a very, very special guest, an appropriate one right now. Dana?
This is one of those cases where it's better to be lucky than good, and we do have the Secretary of Defense right now with us as we are watching the Commander-in-Chief review the troops. You are the departing Defense Secretary, but you obviously have a front row seat to the President's relationship with those people who he's honoring right now.
He's really had a terrific relationship with the military. He's been very supportive. His wife, of course, and Jill Biden have been very supportive of benefits for our wounded warriors and for their families. And because of that, I think the troops really have a very high regard for him. And it's important because, frankly, these young men and women have to go into battle, put their lives on the line, and to have the President of the United States be able to back you 100%. You can't beat that.
This is the beginning of the president's second term. You are leaving. What do you hope to see in the second term from afar, from your winery in Northern California?
Well, I think it's really important that they provide some budget certainty here. We're going through, obviously, deficit reduction. It's important that defense play its role. But we fashioned a strategy that protects the United States as the strongest military power on earth. If the Congress allows the sequester to go in, or if these budget cuts impact, I think that'll do incredible damage to our defense.
And real quick, one of the first official acts that the president did in his second term was to officially nominate your successor, Chuck Hagel. It's pretty controversial up here. It looks like he'll get through. But do you feel that some of the criticism is warranted?
No, I know Chuck Hagel, and I'm very confident that, first of all, he'll win confirmation. And he'll get some tough questions, but there's no question in my mind he'll be able to handle it. That's what Secretary of Defenses have to do.
Okay, thank you. And the mood in there, was it pretty good in the lunch?
Great. It was a great mood.
Okay, thank you for stopping.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Bye-bye.
Back to you, Wolf.
Thanks very much, the President and the First Lady, the Vice President, the Second Lady. They have wrapped up their review of the troops, a nice gesture to wrap up an historic day up on Capitol Hill. They're now in the presidential limos. The motorcade is getting ready to leave to depart Capitol Hill, and this will be the official start of the parade. They will go down Pennsylvania Avenue. They'll drive for a little while, but at some point they will stop. They will get out, we are told. The crowds will go crazy. They have been waiting for hours and hours on both sides of Pennsylvania Avenue. Security is intense, obviously, for good reasons. But this is one of the most exciting moments. And, Kate, as we get ready to see the start of this parade, you've been doing a lot of research on the floats and the marching bands. Give us a little preview. I am so excited because I know that the floats especially are going to be great.
The floats are going to be fabulous. And there are some 8,800 people that are going to be involved with this parade. Also, you might want to know, some 200 animals involved with the parade. Really?
What kind of animals?
Like horses and stuff like that? My research did not go that far.
All right.
But stand by, it's a surprise.
Yeah, all right, good.
We also have 8 official inaugural floats that include honoring the home states of both the Obamas as well as the Bidens. So we will see those, and those would be very great.
That would be Hawaii and Illinois and Delaware, among others.
Exactly, among others. So we're waiting for those. 59 groups, marching bands galore that we're going to be looking for. So there's going to be a lot going on. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a celebration. And some odd numbers that I have here. 41 is the number of unicyclists we will be seeing in the parade
too.
Today.
Wow.
Get excited.
Anderson, I don't know about you, but yesterday we had a preview of the Grambling State University marching band. They were playing with you and with me right over there in the National Mall. They're going to be playing for the entire world momentarily as this parade gets underway.
That's right. They're actually the lead band in the parade. It's their third time in an inaugural parade to lead it off. It's Grambling State, of course, is from central Louisiana. So a lot of folks in Louisiana are going to be very excited to hear that. Jessica Yellen, you and I were talking before about the movie Lincoln and the impact that has had on President Obama. I think a lot of people don't realize the extent to which he has been quoting it around the White House.
It's true, Anderson. He has said that Abraham Lincoln is his favorite president, but since this movie has come out and he screened it in the White House movie theater, he's been quoting not just Abraham Lincoln himself, but actually lines from the movie. And in jest, I should say he's doing it somewhat ironically. But the reason he likes Lincoln so much is because Lincoln is sort of the ultimate fighter, the president who unified a nation during a time of incredible division. And so all presidents look to him as the one who persevered through the worst. So no one wants to compare themselves to him because it would not be humble. So they're always careful to say they don't. But, they like to quote him. And so President Obama, I'm told, has been quoting him a lot, and especially Daniel Day-Lewis. And Daniel Day-Lewis was there at a dinner in the residence with a lot of the cast.
So this is going to be very exciting for all the people who have been on the National Mall, who now have gone to the parade ground. We see the president approaching, starting the parade route. The first family, of course, will take their seats and then watch as the rest of the parade goes by.
And this is the pivot point of the day. Now we go to celebration. We have a parade that is a celebration for the president and the vice president, but also for the country. You mentioned the variety, the diversity of the floats and the bands and others who will participate in the parade. Then you have the balls tonight. So we're pivoting now to the celebration, which the country deserves and which the winners of the election, the president and the vice president, very much deserve. A big question in my mind is that what we've seen in the last few hours is this spirit of friendliness and cooperation, and all the right things were said. Let's circle back in a week or three and just see, even if on a few things they can sustain it and show we're going to fight over this, but we made some progress here. We're going to fight over that, but we made some progress here. The trust deficit, Margaret spoke about it earlier, that's the biggest deficit in town. You can't solve the financial problems, the financial deficits, until they solve the trust deficit. And maybe it's hopeful idealism, but maybe they made a small down payment today.
And I was also thinking, as I was watching the president review the troops, and you heard Leon Panetta talk about the First Lady and Jill Biden and how much they've done for the troops and their families. But I'm also thinking, coming into this next phase, this is going to be a president that could have some difficult relationships with generals. He's always been concerned about the generals and not being overtaken by them, and he has spoken an awful lot about that, as presidents have to make their own decisions, not be led too much by the generals. I think the nomination of Chuck Hagel is somebody who was a sergeant, whom he believes comes at the Pentagon from the view of the bottom of the ladder, not at the top of the ladder. And so I think you're going to have some real issues.
General Stanley McChrystal wrote about that actually in his new book. He talked about kind of the deficit of trust they had early on in the administration. Let's go back to Wolf, who's waiting down by the White House, down by the parade grounds. Wolf?
You can see the presidential limo, Anderson, just beginning to move slowly. You see the Secret Service van right behind that presidential limo. There obviously is very tight security. The vice president is there, and the president and the first lady. They are being accompanied by what's initially called the presidential escort. These are the parade's performing groups organized into 5 divisions, each led by one branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, and yes, the Coast Guard as well, even though the Coast Guard is part of the Department of Homeland Security, not the part of the Department of Defense. It is one of the 5 branches of the U.S. Armed Forces as it is considered on this day. In addition to these 5 armed forces, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard, there will also be representatives of the Washington D.C. Metropolitan Police. They will be participating in this presidential escort, as it's called, as this parade begins. They've got to line up everyone. They got to get everybody going, Kate, to make sure that they're all ready to go, because once they start moving. They don't want to have to
There's really
stop
no
again.
stopping that they want to do.
Right. They don't want to stop. They want to keep on going. So they're just lining everyone up. And it's all extremely well coordinated. Division 1 begins with the United States Army. Then they go on to the Color Guard, various National Guard units. But then there's a marching band from the Panoa High School marching band. That would be in Honolulu, Hawaii.
That would be in Honolulu, Hawaii. That is where the high school, the school that President Obama graduated from in 1979. So there is a lot of, I mean, this is all planned down to the very person and the very float, I can assure you. And everyone, though, waiting to see where and when and whether President Obama and possibly the First Lady will be getting out of that limo. You know, of course, that is the moment when the Secret Service all hold their breath.
Yeah, everybody gets a little nervous for good reasons. And that's why, Jeffrey Toobin, there has been such incredible security as we get ready
You see
for
it
this.
right there. Look at that.
You see the police over there. They're lined up. They're going to be, what a show of force. That presidential escort, Jeffrey, is very, very impressive.
And of course, you know, things changed after 9/11. That the security in Washington is so dramatically different from when you first came here. When I first started visiting Washington, you know, the post 9/11 security is of a completely different order of magnitude. All those people we will see along the along the route pass through metal detectors to be allowed to stand where they are. So it's not like this is just some random crowds on the street. There are no reserved seats along most of the ways, but everybody has been through at least some form of screening.
And once you go down Pennsylvania Avenue and you see many of those office buildings on both sides of Pennsylvania Avenue, every one of those buildings has been secured. As they say, they've been swept to make sure that everything is quiet inside and that there's nothing that could really happen that would endanger anyone in this parade.
No, security is absolutely tops. I'm sure if it's a building with a parking garage in it, every car had to be out of the parking garage. Every floor of every office building, and we know there are many that line Pennsylvania Avenue that have all been closed, well, for a very good reason. As we watch this all begin. So it's looking right now, it's moving very slowly, but for good reason. Everyone wants a chance to wave at the first family.
I like the Secret Service guys who walk as the motorcade moves. These guys are very, they're in excellent shape, I got to tell you. They're excellent condition, because sometimes that car begins to move a little bit more quickly, so they start running a little bit. By the way, you see in front of the presidential limo, you see some photographers. Those are some journalists. They have unique access, so we're going to be able to.
Yeah, they themselves have quite a setup.
All right, as we watch this parade begin, and the police escort, the military escort, just getting underway. It's all very choreographed. Dana Bash has got another special guest with her. Dana?
That's right. The Majority Leader of the House, Eric Cantor, thank you very much. You not only are the Majority Leader in the House, but you also were a co-chair of the Joint Inaugural Committee. So you're very much involved in the process here. You had a front row seat. Let's just start with your partisan reaction, frankly. What did you think of the speech?
Look, I mean, today is a day for all of us in this country to come together. It was the swearing in, the inaugural of our commander-in-chief. And, you know, it really doesn't matter who you voted for, which side you're on. Today is a day we can all come together. And I think that the president's speech was one that spoke to some of the aspirations that he has for this country. I think many of us share in what he spoke about, which is trying to help folks who haven't necessarily benefited from upward mobility in the past.
Now, you are being very generous. I think that this is traditionally a nonpartisan day, but some Republicans out there in the Twitterverse are saying that they thought that the president's inaugural address was too aggressive, too overly partisan, too liberal.
I think that the president did a fine job, certainly laying out what he would like to see happen as far as the future of the country. There are plenty of areas of disagreement, but there are also some things fundamentally we agree